Okay, and I'm back. I can figure out how to get rid of this. That's all. Okay. Yeah, so I'm back, right where I left you. I'm gonna be sewing up the rest of this tail, and I think a lot of the seams at the bottom, and I may even put in the doll joint posts for the legs, and then seal that up because I'm kind of getting tired of having to deal um, with the bottom not being sewn up yet. And then it's building the legs, and hopefully I can get the legs more or less put together this morning or today. I guess it's a little past morning. Um, Hopefully I can get the innards done for the legs, and then I can finish the uh, legs tomorrow. And then all that's left really is kind of the final grooming of this thing, putting in the tongue, putting in the teeth, um, the whiskers, um, and trimming the fur. Not necessarily in that order. It'd be good to get this done. Finish up this tail. Nice thing about the tail is it'll just go on like a sock, so it's easy to sew it up while it's off the rest of the puppet. I guess that's true about a lot of things. A lot of these things that like I could do the hands and the feet, I guess, that way. But do I? Here, let me get a better angle for you guys. And I think I'm going to do a little experiment this time. I think I'm going to enable the live chat on here. Come on. There it is. You'll see even less, but at least you can tell what I'm talking about. I was trying to figure out how I was going to trim this puppet up, because I know that the actual dog's fur is a little shorter than this and less scraggly, but I kind of feel like he kind of needs a little bit of the scraggle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb out the backs of the ears and leave the insides kind of ratty. And I'm going to leave his back ratty and his shoulders and hips ratty, but then trim the forearms and the hands and probably the feet. And then I'm going to brush out his chest. So I think that'll give him a few different textures, and I think that'll probably be the best of both worlds. Or I can just leave it as is and let the client deal with it. I think I might get the Twitch channel up and running as well. because I don't think Instagram is going to ever, or LinkedIn is ever going to start broadcasting these things. Ah, this fur. Nothing more interesting than watching the ladder stitch, especially when done badly. Boy, I got way off on this. Let's see where it went wrong. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. I should be able to getting hair all over myself. Okay. I should be able to just slip this on. Make sure I put the seam at the bottom. Okay. Seams at the bottom. Fits, thankfully. Now I can run it all the way around at the base and then seal up the back of the puppet finally, which is fun. It'd be even more fun if I could see what I was doing down here. I'm just basically trying to make sure that there's no gaping holes in these where it's attached. This will help stabilize it too. I mean, this fur is very forgiving in that my horrible, ugly stitches will never be seen. Another reason not to shave down this fur too much. You know, in hindsight, I probably didn't need to leave this open at the back here. Um, well, it made it easy to put in the wire, but other than that, it probably would have been easier to just stitch it up from the back. I suppose if I didn't want to have the live feed of the chat on there, I could make the video bigger, and I could just try and be better about repeating what the questions are. That puts a lot of pressure on me. Again, I'm trying to make a knot every inch or so that if one of these stitches breaks, then it's not completely starting from scratch again. Gosh, I have to blow my nose. Awful. We might be able to get this last bit from the back, which would be a godsend. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it. At least I'm staying on track. You can see my little tick marker. This is getting so short, I probably should get a new thread. Okay, I think that's about as much as I can do on that. There we go. Hi, Tilly. I keep thinking I have a comment, and it's just a notice saying that I can allow comments to be shown. Yeah, I don't want to get any of the tail caught in this seam. I mean, I guess I could pick it back out, but kind of a mess. Now, this would be a good place for the baseball stitch. But I don't know that I've ever used it. I think I've used a slip stitch, which might be similar. I really should take a sewing class. Okay, that's all sewn up now, which is good. I'll just pull this lining down. With any luck, it'll match up to the... Make sure it's not twisted. It's actually pretty close. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin it all in place. I'll try and get the seams for the lining and the seam for the fur to match up. They're not going to match up exactly, but kind of. If this was a little bit stretchier, the fur, it would we could get it to match just about exactly, but because there's no stretch, I think we're going to have a little problem. And I want to make sure that I don't close it up completely because I want to get my hand up in there to put in the doll joints. So remind me. Okay, see, there's a few places that are bunched up, but they just have to be bunched up. And I'm just going to do a whip stitch around this to keep it shut. And I could have maybe put some boning in there, but I think it'll be fine. Eddie doesn't have any boning, so I don't want this dog to have anything that Eddie doesn't. I think what I'm going to do is just sew up the back. And leave the front open to add in those doll joints. And usually I wouldn't sew this in at the bottom. The only reason I'm doing it is because there is not the head is all part of one unit, and I kind of want it to be self-contained. But usually this is a separate part that is held in place either by a pin or by the boning, and therefore it kind of is free floating, so you can adjust the neck and you can get a little bit more movement out of the neck. But this is only constructed this way to hide the seam better between the head and the body. Which I guess I think that this dog's going to have a collar on, so I guess it's not really that necessary to do it that way. But because Eddie's that way, that was the way this one's put together. Ouch. I should make like a little graphic for each time I stick myself with a needle in each shot. Okay, there's that. I'll go around the other way. So I actually have pictures of when I was doing Eddie's legs. So I can kind of show you what I'm going to do before I do it. They're going to look like big old frog legs. Well, I guess in my little poll to see when people are watching, I should mark Thursdays in the afternoon off the list. Okay. What a mess. Okay, there we go. And I used to have the seams drift off center when I was doing these. So I usually will start in the center on the back or the center on the front and work my way around to the back, and do the same thing the opposite way, so that at least it kind of keeps the center line in the right spot. Maybe a better sewer could have a better way of doing it than that, but that's the way I've had to deal with it. Since I started with the same thread as the tail, I started in the center back, so any sort of drift should be carried over to the center front. Maybe when I finish sewing up the back, or the front, I'll start at the center there and work my way back, and then bunch up whatever extra material there is right there at the sides, and nobody will ever notice. So I said I had pictures of Eddie, but I didn't get them prepared before I started, so I may just have to show you by drawing it out. Tie that one off. Okay. All right, for all intents and purposes, he's done except for this little seam here and the legs. And trim. And all the details. Okay. I think the tail looks pretty good. And you can wag it by moving it down here or by twisting your wrist a little bit. Anyway, okay. Let me start on those feet. Look at my patterns here. So these are that's his leg pattern. This is a leg foam pattern too. Let's see what we got here. That's his skin. That's his foot. That's his foam pattern. Foot. What was this? Here. Tail. Today the 3rd. Okay. So of all the things we got here, we got the leg, which goes all the way down to the foot, and it will become like that. Like that. Okay. And then inside there's a piece of foam. Goes all the way down his leg, and another piece that goes down to be his foot. And then on the bottom of his pad is a piece of fleece, or I'll have the short fur again. And that'll be that. So I do have all the pieces, which is great. And now I got to do the inside. And for that, I'm probably going to have to consult the pictures I have. So I made Eddie's legs after I built everything else. It was about a month after I finished Eddie. I was like, oh, I need to have legs just in case. And I very rarely used them. It's hard sometimes when I'm going through this to know when I'm looking at pictures of Tilly and when I'm looking at pictures of Eddie. If you were afraid you weren't going to see something more boring than me sewing, I really should organize my photos better. Now, my recollection is that was it after C-3PO? Well, it's before Strange Pork. So anyway, I thought I had pictures of what I'm going to be building. Okay, that's Eddie's pattern. Okay, I have no idea what I'm building. Okay. Well, all right. I'll tell you what I'm building. Let's see what I got here. Okay. It looks like I have no notes. Wait, backlit. Oh, here we go. 4.75. This is what I've been looking for this whole time. Is just the measurement of how long the tubing is going to be. So I'm going to use the same tubing that I used for the arms. So same tubing. And I'm going to use some wire. And that's about it. So 4.75. Okay, so I got all 4 of those. I'm going to have to do kind of what I said I was going to do on the tail that I ended up not doing, which was I'm going to use these washers to hook the to get this all. In the original one, in the original pieces I had, well, let me build first. Okay, there's another leg. And I used armature wire the last time, but I don't have any armature wire, so I'll just use this regular, whatever this is, galvanized wire. Same stuff I used for the tail. You want it to be fairly rigid, because if it isn't, the leg won't keep its shape because it's pretty heavy. But I believe the way I made the toes was they were not part of the tail, the foot. I think the way I did it was, yeah, so what I did is I think this middle toe goes down, and that's this. But then I made a little piece here that was the second toe that went around, and then I held it all together with plumber's epoxy. So I think that's what I'm going to do on this one. So I'm just see how long I'm going to make this. I think I'll make it 18 inches. About. I'll do 20-ish. Okay, I'll make 2 of these. There's enough here to do the toes. So let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this through just like I did for the leg. I'm just going to bend it a little bit so that it kind of locks in place. I want to say that there's a piece there too. Yeah, there is. There's about 2 inches of tubing there. Yeah, about 2 inches. And I'll never see that again. Boy, I wasn't kidding. Okay. Okay. So there's our dog leg, believe it or not. And actually, yeah, that should be enough at the top, I think. What's the best way to do this? Yeah, I think the best way to do this is to do it sideways like that. This is going to be the middle toe. Okay, let me make the second one of those. Okay, so those are okay, that's one leg. And this will go be a piece of foam that goes here. Trim off that. Do it a little longer and then bend it back. One foot. Here's the other foot. Okay, I'm gonna make some extra toes, which is basically gonna do that and that. So I'm not sure the best way to do this, to be honest. I think maybe the best way is to loop it around. Maybe make it out of a thinner gauge wire. I think that's what I'm going to do. Make those other two out of a different type of wire. This is why you need really good plans or really good patterns so you can remember 3 years later how to build these puppets. Boy, what a mess. See, this is why I usually make armatures, because I hate doing stuff like this. It doesn't have to be particularly pretty, I tell myself. Let's make his little chicken feet. There's one. I probably should have put a little loop here so to make it a little easier to twist that around. Okay, there's the other one. Okay, so now last step on these legs, or one of the last steps. One of the last steps on this leg. Okay, there's one leg. Oh, there's the other. Oh, there's the other leg. I'm gonna mix up a little bit of plumber's epoxy. I don't need very much, just a little bit. This is more what plumber's epoxy is made for, rather than making noses. Let me open that window. Probably should get all this fur as far away from here as possible. Get a bang up job. All right, so all I got to do basically is kind of wrap this around where the two pieces join, kind of smooth it out. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. There's one. I just want two legs that are basically the same and pointed in the wrong, in opposite directions. Which I think I've done. Which is great. Let me get some rubbing alcohol. Let me get this thread out of here. It's not as important that this be perfect as much as just secure. And you kind of want to make it smooth so that it doesn't make any weird, you know, bulges under the fur. Okay, so there's my two chicken legs, or Max's two chicken legs. I'm going to take these two bent parts. They've got to dry, but I'm going to take these two bent parts up at the top, and I'm going to drill a hole in each of these washers and thread that on there, so that they'll tie into these dowel joints. And I'm going to make the foam part off camera while this dries, and I should be able to glue all this in the next video and make the fur pattern for it. I'm going to clean up around here too a little bit. So I'll be back on later.